On politicals, the sole administrator of Rivers State, Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, retired, has announced that preparations are underway for the state's 2025 budget, focusing on healthcare, education, agriculture, infrastructure, and job creation. He noted that following the Supreme Court's verdict on the state's budget, efforts have been expedited to draft a new appropriation bill that reflects the government's commitments to social services and economic development. We have a guest to have this conversation on intricacies of a new budget for Rivers State, Honorable Chizi Nyeomasila, President, ICU Group Nationwide. Honorable Chizi, you're welcome to Signature Evening.
Good evening, and good evening, Nigerians. Thank you.
Finally, a new budget has been presented. I think that is where we have it. There's no House of Assembly presented to. I think the presentation was made to the people of Rivers State. How was that received? What's the general feeling like out there in Rivers State?
Well, first, let me correct an impression. There is a House of Assembly. It's just that the National Assembly now is acting as the House of Assembly in Rivers State because the state administrator cannot act independently. It is the National Assembly that is his own House of Assembly, just like what happened in the FCT. It's just that same straight.
Okay, maybe a delegation from the House, National Assembly, right? He presented that budget to them.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
That is part of the lobby because these delegations are Rivers indigenes who are elected to the National Assembly who will help to support the budget at the National Assembly, whether in a committee of set up for this special purpose. But you understand that the Constitution says that in the absence of an assembly in a state, the National Assembly will take over until that legislative arm is restored in a state, and that's exactly what is happening. It's not like it's presenting it like what happens in the military era. No, he is only saying we are preparing the budget as to be presented, and that he is only preempting them because they are the National Assembly, asking them to expedite action as that will help to develop Rivers State, and that's exactly what is happening. On how it's being taken in Rivers State, of course. Naturally speaking, you know that over 16 months now, Rivers State has been divided along sentiments, political sentiment or interest, some for the suspended governor and some for whatever reasons, and some of us for the facts of the law, that speaking the truth to the facts of the law. And it's also being received with mixed feeling. But the basic thing is, what would we do? Do we begin to spend money without an appropriation bill? The answer is capital no. That cannot happen. And so Rivers people are happy with it, saying, okay, present the budget, of course, so that things will be running and going. And that's exactly what is happening. So on how it's being received, Rivers State people are happy that the state administrator is now presenting the budget that hasn't been done for the past 16 months.
Okay, so let's take it up from there. The budget has been presented, and from your own accounts, Rivers people are good with it so that the state can at least run on something and move on. Now, you have already said that the budget was presented to a delegation from the National Assembly. Are we to expect approval just the same way that it is gotten from the State Assembly, assuming there's no state of emergency?
Yes, of course. That's what it means. Like I've said, the state administrator cannot act alone.
Independent.
Yes, no. He will do it. What he is just doing is like, for instance, if you have an assembly, assuming, and the government is preparing this budget, in a way of preempting them of what he's going to present to them, he's giving them what we call legitimate notice, to say that I'm presenting this budget. He hasn't actually presented it to them, but what he said is, I'm preparing my budget and I'm presenting it to you. Help me to expedite action on this budget. And I'm sure that the National Assembly is going to do justice to it and bring it back quickly. They understand the exigency, the emergency that we have in Rivers State, and they know that what that means is that they will have to do it quickly so Rivers can go ahead with the job.
Now, one would wonder if it is not done with some sense of urgency. I mean, is it not coming quite too early?
For me, it's even coming late. Don't forget that this is a state. You do not run a state without an appropriation law in the first instance. And so the very first day that the civil administrator resumes office, and I think that on which money will he be spending, on which money will he be paying salaries, on which fund will he take to do things? They must run the state. And this state is huge, but the state cannot be run illegally, like the Supreme Court has rightly mentioned, that we do not have a budget. So why wouldn't you just submit the same budget? Of course, I give him that 1 or 2, 3 days or 1 week or something to study the state and look at the budget that the governor wanted to submit to those forums that he called assembly, and then do justice to it. And I'm sure that's what he did. And now try to look at the one that will be confident for the first 6 months, and then see how to present the budget. Because without an appropriation law in the first instance, where will he act from? Where or which money will he spend? In fact, the banks were not supposed to collect his signature if there's an appropriation law. And so that's the first thing he should do, because without an appropriation law, from which money will he spend from?
You know why I am asking that question? Someone who have to prepare the budget, someone who has full knowledge of how things have been. I mean, he's not been in the system, in that particular system. He's just appointed the other day. And so are we sure that the necessary factors have been included in this budget, just for the welfare of the Rivers people?
Now let me tell you how budgetary procedures are run in a state, be it federal government or state government. It is not a function of the chief executive per se to begin to incident the process of budget. In fact, the budget process starts just after the first budget has been submitted. For instance, if they submit the budget and the budget is passed, the next budget, the budget office will begin to prepare other budget for the next year. So it is not like the bureaucracy wasn't suspended, the MDAs weren't suspended. There are men there, bureaucrats or technocrats in the case you are professionals, who are there to begin to look at what is on. All you need to do is to bring forth your own vision, and so they look at and tailor the budget into your vision. That's just it. It's not like the budget is something that you just start up today like an individual and begin to do. There is an office for the budget. There's an office that does research for the budget. There's an office that ideally is supposed to go through to certain areas to understand what they need. And as soon as, and don't forget that for 16 months now, those offices may have and should have prepared a budget waiting the submission of same to the chief executive. And of course, all he needs is to collect those things as, okay, this is and prioritize the areas he wanted. And this is the area I wanted. And those areas are not a new creation of the solar. So they are already created before he came. And so, for instance, education, social welfare, and employment, and all of that, they are already there. And let me tell you why, when he included employment, why I applauded that. In Rivers State, it's a notorious fact that we have lacunas, we have vacancies in from level 6 to almost level 12. That means that people, what have happened in Rivers State for over 16 years now, is that people who have retired are now giving contract staffing to still remain, because they do not have people growing from the ranks who are between level 16, level 9, level 6 to level 12. And that is bad for the system. And so if you say, okay, fine, a lot of NDAs and MDAs that actually requested that they need to fill in vacancies. So all you need is to upload the vacancies and see how that can be accommodated in the budget. Shift this here and bring forth this one here. So it's not a new thing per se.
Okay, let's look at another development in Rivers State. The sole administrator already cancelled all procurement, and he ordered refund of tender fees. I don't know, with this new budget, not knowing what exactly to expect, I don't know if these ones will be carried along. I don't know if fresh fresh contracts will be, put in place so that, I mean, the state will have to survive the next 6 months, don't you think?
That is correct. Firstly, he didn't cancel contract. He only canceled tender and what did he call it again? Those are
procurement.
Procurement. Yeah, he did cancel contract. Of course, there are running contracts that are already there. That is also, if you look at the budget critically, you know that budget is. There are contracts in reverse that has been paid for from 2023. It's a running contract. He didn't cancel all of that. The question is, you cannot build something on nothing. You can't build. That's what the law says. You can't build something on nothing. On what are you procuring? What are you tendering for? You do not tender for an illegal thing, that things that never were. When something is illegal, it is in law supposed to mean that it never were. That's what it means in the first instance. It means that there was no contract to be tendered for. There were no contract. In fact, to use the word mildly, it means that the past administration duped the people by collecting their money for tender. Because number one, on which budget are you tendering for? On which appropriation law are you tendering for? Because firstly, what you are tendering for must be captured in the budget before it's tendered for. So if you have tendered already, it means that it never were. So for him to be magnanimous enough to say, pay back this person their tender fee, so that the new tender will be coming based on the budget focus, is a welcome development.
Are there changes expected in the new budget? I mean, compared to the previous one for the previous fiscal year?
Of course, let me also not say changes, because we weren't privy to the budget of the other one.
It was not presented after all, eventually.
Yeah, eventually, of course. We are all not, this is not fundamental difference. There won't be a very significant difference. It's just that the way my strategy in achieving A may not be your strategy, but we all want to achieve A. For instance, if you wanted to employ people, your strategy could be, let's start from the Ministry of Health or the NDS of that health. My strategy could be, let's start from education. It depends on the priority. What is it that I wanted for now? So individual strategy differs and individual vision differs. And so I'm sure that, of course, you know that if you have a sole administrator, it looks, the definition of administrator is a lengthy shadow of the president. And so it means that a renewed hope agenda may suffice here, which is not the agenda of these other persons. And so he comes with this agenda, and there will be some adjustment here or there, but not a fundamental difference. That I can assure you.
All right, let's look at some of the priority that probably will be parts of the foundation for creating this budget. Though it happened in so short a time, I'm just hoping that everything is factored in. But are there top priorities that the sole administrator is looking to?
Yeah, he's mentioned it. He's expressed in there. He's talked about education. He's talked about social services.
He talked about healthcare as well.
He also talked about healthcare. So those are priorities. Why must he talk about those things? So of course, you know that, for instance, there are what I call must be in a budget, and those are must be. Those are the things that government in the first instance is created for. Those are the primary purpose of governance, is to provide for the health of the people, protect the life and the life of the people, provide, educate the people. And of course, that's why he has taken those priorities, because those are the priorities that, whether you are military or civilian, those are priorities that they are suable. You can go to court to say that the schools are not working. You can go to court to say the health systems are not working and social services are not provided, and the welfare of the aged, the pensioners, and all of that. These are the things that you must do, whether you're on an interim basis or in a permanent basis. Okay. And so he has to prioritize those areas.
Do you think that these are the primary, they should take priority, the point he's made?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, okay. Let's look at the stakeholders involved in the budgeting process. Already you said that it doesn't have to boil down on the chief executive. There's been an existing process. But do you believe that their input was adequately or is adequately reflected in this new budget?
You know, the sole administration does not have any option than to do that, because in the first instance, assuming without conceding that he's living from River State, that as an indigene of River State, he will not know. He's not God to know every facet of the economy and where they are coming from. Now, this is a man who is just coming as an interventionist approach. So there is no way he can work with the system. He can't work with the permanent secretaries. He can't work with the directors, to tell him. And those are the reason why those people are there. That's why I said we have budget office, and the budget office also sources their budget item from ministries and MDAs and parastatals. And for me, I would even think that they consult the local government, the communities, and all of that will be affected. But in this instance, they are already there. They are bureaucrats. They've been there. They understand the workings of the budget. And of course, he can't do otherwise than what are the institutions that he knows in River State? These are not the same thing as the other way. So if you are in there, you must. There's nothing you can do other than calling from memos from all of the MDAs. So what he is actually presenting is a collection of all the memos from the MDAs.
Okay. All right. He also said that the budget, he was emphatic about this, that it will also focus on job creation. What is he going to do differently? And is that achievable the next 6 months?
I told you that we are in dear need of that. Let me say, not because we do not have employable youths, not because we do not have vacancies. I told you that part of our investigation, I am deep in River State. I'm not an analyst coming from outside. I am deep in the bureaucracy of River State. I told you that from level 6 to level 12, we have a lacuna. There's a vacancy that is existing there. What has happened over time is that people have had to retire and be given a contract job to stay because they don't have people replacing them. And so that in itself is not even supporting the bureaucracy. So right now, he must work with them. There is something that he has said. What is achievable? People are there are qualified members who are there are people who wants to work for today. And of course, like in Nigeria, if you are, that we have a whole lot of backlogs of people who are not employed. If you ask, let me give you one instance. When I came back to River State as a River person, I was in Abuja. When I came back to River State, there is this very ugly things that people have said, and which is not right. And even if it's right, what's your business? And what is that? Is that the Rivers people don't want to travel. The Rivers people don't like to work, especially the queries that they don't want to work. And when I came back here, I found out, okay, why are they not working? And so I did something. We did a publication asking for application for first class materials to come to apply in those things. And my sister, when we did that, we had over 3,000 first class persons apply. Then the question is, why is it they don't want to work? So these people actually wanted to work. Is that there's no opportunity? We have not created an environment for them to work. And so right now, I'm just telling you first class. We didn't use 2-1. We didn't use third class. We didn't use 2. But we just use first class, not masters, not PhD. That means that if you open it up, you will see that what you will even see is that there will be too many people chasing the same employment. So it is not something that cannot work. There is government agencies that can handle that. There are consultants that can do that. I can tell you that my organization can handle that very effectively. I know what to do.
Honorable Chizi, for most states in Nigeria, their primary source of revenue generation is FAC. That is where they get the huge sum, the lump sum, to carry out projects for NEA. Is it the same for River State? I mean, this budget will have to be funded for it to come alive, for implementation to occur. And so my question really is what the primary source of revenue generation for River State is. How will this budget be funded?
Well, firstly, River State is not independent of other states in Nigeria. I have always told people that our states, our democratic structures and state structures is seeking, is defective in the first instance. A federated state is not supposed to have its primary source from FAC. They are supposed to have it from internally generated revenue. But what has happened in the case of River State is that River State is blessed with internal generated revenue. And I can tell you that River State can run without even fact. But again, let me tell you one good thing that the President Tinubu has done over 16 years. In spite of the vexing issue of non-compliance to appropriation bill, he has not stopped the giving allocation to River State. No, he hasn't, not 1 month, until the Supreme Court says otherwise. He has already given. That means that it's starting ban to give River State their money every year. Just recently, the local government allocations were released in local government, and of course, salaries being paid to all the local government chairmen, all the local government staff in River State. We have that. We have our primary, but I can tell you for River State it's dual. It's dual because we are strong internally. If not for all of these things that has impended direct foreign investment in River State because of lack of appropriation bill, I can tell you that River State is not poor. It can't be seen as a poor district. So River State has its own internal generated revenue that can run River State without even the fact. But again, why wouldn't the fact come? The bulk of the fact is coming from the South. And River State happens to be the headquarters of the South. So you can't deny us of our district. So it looks to me, if you reverse it in the other way, that River State is only handing their money to federal government to take it back for them. So federal government is actually a banker to River State money, not that the federal government is giving River State money.
Honorable Chizi, still on that, we know that we know the way military regime runs. Okay.
Sure.
So they are not into the business of trying to please, in quotes, the masses. They just do what they have to do. But I want to ask this question. I know also that government is not business oriented, in quotes, in that they are not into buying and selling kind of transactions. And so how will the government enhance revenue generation at least this 6 months that emergency rule is in place?
Firstly, let me distance myself from that very ugly concept. People have said that it is not the business of government to be in business. I can tell you that it is the business of government to be in business. I just don't want to. That should be for another day. But again, in this scenario you just created, don't forget, this is not a military government. This government of River State will have to source its funds from internal generated revenues, and all they needed to do is to stop all of the pit holes, all of the pit holes that they are taking money. I can tell you that just staying in River State and not allowing certain pocket to leak, stopping certain leakages, you will bring forth a huge amount of money for River State. Fobra did declare that River State is making about 17 billion naira. He is not the one going to defeat to do it. There are people who are still there making those billions of naira coming to River State. And I can tell you that these people can also improve on that. Why would they improve on that? You will understand that the threats on oil, crude oil, is reducing, if not reduced to zero level. And so that means that people will have to be paying. There are statues. There are the same people who are there are still there. And again, maybe just thinking out of the box, that maybe part of the reason for employment is also enhance the revenue generation by increasing the revenue agencies, the staffers of the revenue agencies.
The budget is in place. Another thing to it is implementation of the budget.
Okay.
How can the implementation be monitored? I mean, funds have been appropriated for various sectors. Now it's not it's an emergency rule in place. But how do you think that the monitoring will go, knowing that the executives have been dissolved and there's no House of Assembly, even when there's an oversight function from the National Assembly? But how will the budget implementation be monitored?
First is the fact that you have a budget by which you could refer to. What is a budget? It's an estimated expenditures and revenue of the government. And so in that budget, I'm going to see, for instance, my village, that in this budget, my village is going to have soup project. The budget is visible thanks to the the bill on freedom for information. The budget is feasible. All of us will have to budget. The policing of everything is for all of us. And now there are agencies. I tell people that the reason why, for instance, let me use the public school, has continually failed in Nigeria is because the inspectorate, not for the absence of the inspectors, but because the inspectorates are not monitored. And so I am thinking, and I know that the kind of persons, not forget that the governor, the state administrator will also have certain persons that will work with him. He's going to appoint persons, not actually maybe a commissioner or commissioners or something. And I'm sure those, he couldn't have appointed them without a budget, because you have to provide for their relations, have to provide for their running costs. And so I'm sure that he's going to do that, and they're good. And of course, the National Assembly who are good there. They have dedicated National Assembly members, committees that will also do an oversight. No wonder you see that those elected who are Rivers people are coming home to come and do the oversight. They're going to see the budget and tell us. There are also going to be budget education, which the office of the Secretary of Government is also supervising. To say, look, this budget is going to come here. We're going to do this, and so people begin to monitor it. And CLOs, civil liberties organization, CPOs, faith-based organizations, all of us are putting our hands together, because government is not for anybody. Government is for all of us, and we're going to monitor it. I see you group, my group that I lead, we have also dedicated ourselves in monitoring and following this budget to its root. So this is not business as usual.
So we should also expect accountability at the end of the day?
Sure.
Will that be ensured?
Very, very sure.
Okay. Now, a new government, albeit interim, is in place in Rivers State. The budget, is it possible that it can align with the long-term development goals of Rivers State?
Of course, yes. Like I've said, there is what they call the ring road that was initiated by Wiki and continued by Fobra. And of course, that is also the governor, the state administrator has also gone to visit those sites, because they have to continue, because any interruption will have to affect River State. And I can tell you that, like the other day, I was passing by a place, in our place we call Eneka and Roboku area. Those are the places that those ring roads are affecting. But I saw that vehicles are passing because they have made ways, they have cleared the place. The work is in progress. The work are still ongoing. They couldn't stop the work. And so he cannot stop those things. While, the budget is a long-term budget, of course, for 1 year, fiscal year. He will also do his own for 6 months, of course, if he is not, if the peace is restored, and I pray the peace is restored, the governor will come back and continue from that. What it is that the budget has been submitted. In the event that there is a loop,
it's possible that this particular budget, if at the end of 6 months, River State is returned to democratic rule, the budget will also outrun the year. We are in a democratic rule. What you will say is, if we are still in democratic rule. Okay. What you will say let me rephrase. If an elected person is restored to become the governor of River State, will this same budget pass through the year? Are we expecting a fresh budget?
Of course, yes. If there are items that the governor fees are not included in that, he says what they call supplementary budget.
Okay.
And the assembly will be there to look at them and readjust or still continue with that.
Okay. We are currently in economic quagmire. We experience fluctuations from time to time. These budgets, with the scenario in River State, is it sustainable, or can it be sustained, and how can it be sustained?
Let me tell you that this is one budget that will sustain. Why do I say so? Because this budget is taking cognizance of all of those vagaries, because the budget is being prepared not in a rosy period, in a period that I could best declare as a period of war, a little bit of hard words I used, but in a period of a little bit of complex edge, I call them. So in this period, it means that the people will take care of what is happening. It's like in a war situation, and there's a budget in a war situation, you know how to manage it. You know that there are things that will not fly, there are things that should fly. And so this is purely a budget of reality. For me, it is a budget of reality.
Because you have mentioned something that caught my attention. Are we foreseeing challenges in implementing this budget?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chizi Nyeomasila, for your contribution this evening. Honorable is the president of ICU Group nationwide, and he has joined us in a conversation on the subject matter, intricacies of a new budget for Rivers State. Stay tuned, we shall return on Politicals shortly.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.